Yes, welcome back to the live stream here on Twitch with myself, Kutski, in the mix for the next couple of hours. Nothing too formal, just a bit of a hangout, play some beats, sun shining outside. So I thought tonight we should go in for some old school rave, like that early 90s UK vibe. So let's get straight into the mix.
Keeping the rave alive.
Kutski.
What's happening, everyone in the chat room tonight? Shout out to G Wallow X, is that right? 9 Vapor regular tuned in from Western Massachusetts, USA. Shout out to Ian Miller asking for Injected with the Poison. Yeah, I'll be dropping that later in the show. Shout out to June, tuned in from Germany. Big up, mates. The hardcore legend. Shout out to Jackster. Shout out to Wee Maddo. Wilo X. There, we got it right. As I said at the start of the stream, just going in for some old school summer vibes on this lovely evening in the UK. In the background now, some housey, hardcore crossover vibes, expansions by Elevation. Let's go back in.
Your son is dead. Mr. Cook?
Yes?
Your son is dead. Come down to the station house. Come down to the station house. Come down to the station house. Your son is dead. Come down to the station house. Come down to the station house. Come down to the station house. Your son is dead. Come down to the station house. Come down to the station house. Come down to the station house. Your son is dead.
In the chat, remember you can always listen to the show after the fact. If you're on iTunes, search for Hard Boiled Radio on there. You'll see a link to my shows on the Apple Podcast app. You can download all the shows on there. I also put them up on Mixcloud, if that's more your bag, or if you're on Android. And I always upload the videos afterwards to the Hard Boiled Radio YouTube channel, but some of them get pulled down immediately for copyright, so it is what it is. Some stay up, some don't. No rhyme or reason.
Mr. Cook?
Yes?
Do you have a son named Robert? Robert Cook, age 17?
Yes.
I'm sorry, Mr. Cook. You better come down to the station house. Your son is dead. Mr. Cook,
Yes?
do you have a son named Robert? Robert Cook, age 17.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Mr. Cook. You better come down to the station house. Your son is dead.
Dead? How?
He died of an overdose. Come down to the station house. Come down to the station house. Come down to the station house. Your son is dead.
Just a quick check on the mic levels. Everything sounding okay today? Because for some reason I don't touch the microphone level on this mixer. Yeah, every couple of times I come back, it's turned right down. It's weird. I think we might have a ghost in the studio. Let me know if it sounded okay now. It probably sounded a little bit quiet earlier, did it? One in the background now. Such a big tune, can't get enough of it. When it switches up from the ravey bass lines through to the pianos, no euphoria like that on the dance floor. Absolute killer, Bizarring, Such a Feeling. me wondering now who keeps changing the levels of that microphone, because there's no one in here other than me. The only thing that I can think of is I'm one of them people. I can never stay still when I'm on the phone. I just wander around the house. I'm forever picking stuff up, messing with it while I'm on the phone, not even thinking about it. Put it back down again somewhere else, and then wondering who's moved it later on in the day. So I don't know if I've got some kind of OCD thing that, you know, when I'm sitting at my studio desk, which is kind of there, and I'm on the phone, if I sit around and twiddle with the knobs that are on the front of the mixer there, so it's the only thing I can think of, but it's twice that's happened now, within the last, like, week or two. It's more fun to think it was a ghost, though, isn't it? So in the background now from Alternate, hardcore classic entitled Activate. Of course, the White Masked Warriors. You can get this down, you can see. I actually have an Alternate mask. It was given to me at a gig by Mark Archer of Alternate fame. It's one of my prized possessions in the studio, that. For me, when it comes to early hardcore and old school, of course you've got to give it to Prodigy, SL2 and Alternate. For me, they're the top three killer acts. So much fun to DJ with as well, this music. Most of these records not really designed with DJs in mind, no DJ intros, no outros, all at crazy different BPMs. They've been cut on splicing tape on reel-to-reel players before they were mastered, so there's always timing jumps in them and stuff, so it's a real task to be able to mix this music. But you know what, that makes it fun as a DJ. So you're not going to hear the most polished set here, but it's all good fun, great tunes. Let's get back in.
Take it anymore. say one for the trouble, two for the time. Come on, girls, let's rock that. You say one for the trouble, two for the time. Come on, girls, let's rock that. You say one for the trouble, two for the time. Come on, girls, let's rock that.
What type of sound system you guys are listening to it on, but I've got a sub underneath the decks here, and the sub on this track is crazy. Pure bass lines back then.
Reactivate. only dominator. I'm the one and only dominator. I'm tougher and rougher and bolder and bigger and I'm the one and only dominator. I'm the one and only dominator. Boy, kiss myself. I'm bigger and bolder.
Yes, I think it doesn't really matter if you're 14 or 40 with this one, you'll remember this classic. So many different incarnations over the years. Human Resource Dominator. Taking you back to the old school, it's Kutski on Twitch in the mix.
Keeping the rave alive.
There is no other. I'm bigger. And I'm bolder. And I'm rougher. And I'm tougher. And I'm dominator. I'm the one and only dominator. I'm the one and only dominator. I'm tougher and rougher and bolder and bigger and I'm the one and only dominator. I'm the one and only dominator. There is no other. I'm bigger and bolder and rougher and tougher. In other words, sucker, there is no other. I'm the one and only dominator. I'm the one and only dominator.
See the chat asking for a lot of Prodigy. Don't come much bigger than this. It's Charlie.
Before you go off somewhere.
shout out to DJ Robber in the chat asking if I'm holding an AA meeting behind me. You're talking about the empty chairs. Yeah. Lonely studio session today. I was in the studio with Destructive Tendencies yesterday, so it could have been an AA meeting. I saw somebody in the chat before, sorry, I missed the name, asking if I was going to be uploading this set. Yeah, I'll put it on the Hard Boiled Radio podcast feed, so you can search for that on iTunes, and it'll be on my Mixcloud as well. Mixcloud.com/Kutski if you want to listen to this after the fact. Shout to Space Chin for asking what my Snapchat is. I think it's DJ Kutski, DJ Kutski. It's usually just filled with my random ramblings, but isn't that what Snapchat's about, really? That and dick pics. Going back into the mix now. Still on that 92 old school hardcore vibe. Enjoy.
Mommy says always tell your mummy before you go somewhere.
And if you are listening to the show after the fact on iTunes, Mixcloud, YouTube, something like that, and you want to join in the action live in future, make sure you head over to twitch.tv/John Kutski, JOHNKUTSKI. Sign up on there, you get notifications whenever we go live. Join in the chat, have some fun. Been building a nice little community here over the last week. In the mix regularly with all different styles of rave music, the full 360 degrees. Trying to mix up the styles, have a different theme each time I go live, so you're not hearing the same tunes on rotation. We did hardstyle, hardcore at the end of last week. We did hard trance and early hardstyle on Tuesday. Tonight we're going into some old school rave. And who doesn't love a bit of old school rave?
Kutski, pussy motherfucker!
One of my favourite old school labels for sure in the background, Hamster Records. This one, Terrorise, Feel the Rhythm. If you're enjoying the beats this evening, show some love, spread the link of the show. I still haven't figured out on Twitch what you can do. Can you host the channel or something like that? Is that what it's called when you share it with people that you're friends with? You can do that, help us boost the numbers for the channel. Appreciate that very much. Or just simply post the link. Twitch.tv/John Kutski. Tell your friends on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all of that business. Let them know where the rave is this evening. Some awesome beats. I've got a bunch of these authentic vinyl back over there. Maybe the back half of the show we can dig through some of that. Problem is I'm not very organised with my music there, so BPMs are going to be all over the place, but we'll have a look.
Come take a trip to my wonderland. Let's spread our wings and fly away. Feel oceans of love flow through your hands. See visions, colors every day. Let me feel your warm embrace. Release the colors in your mind. I'll put a smile on your face. I've got what it takes to make you mine. Let me be your fantasy. Let me be your fantasy, yeah. Let me be your fantasy. I'll take you
Underground is where we wanna go moving. House the crowd.
Okay, we've moved off playing off digital vinyl to playing to analog vinyl, old school stuff. Let's bust out a few classics. Although you are going to hear these tracks in all their beautiful pops, crackles, and the needle skipping across the record at some point as well. All part of the fun. It's Let's go old school. interested if anyone in the chat was around when these tracks were released first time, early 90s. I know we're winding the clock back. I'm sure many of you weren't even born back then. I remember when all these were coming out around 1990. I was 8 years old. I had an older sister that was really into rave music at the time. So I kind of found out about the music through her, found out a lot of the tapes, the compilations. And that set me on my way for rave music for life. So many hits, so many classics, all nostalgia memory. Not to wish your life away or anything, but you know, I was too young to experience the proper underground UK rave scene. I was just a fan of it. You know, when I was hearing these tracks first time round, I wasn't at underground illegal raves in warehouses. I was playing football down the park with my friends on, you know, triple D batteries that lasted about an hour and a half, and then going home and trying to find more out of old alarm clocks and stuff. That was my experience of the early rave scene. For me, it seems like one of those movements, almost like, you know, when you look at the hippie movement in the 60s, the rave movement of the early 90s. That was our generation, or maybe the generation before me by a few years. And look where we are now, 25 years later. We've got the likes of Climax, Def Con, all these huge festivals around, completely legal, legit businesses. All built around these underground beats made by unemployed kids sitting in their parents' houses, saved up enough dole money to buy a sampler. One of their friends saved and bought a drum machine. Another friend bought a synth. They got together, and that was how you ended up with these acts that wrote all these really early seminal rave hits. Such awesome culture in our scene that I think kind of gets forgotten and lost a little bit these days. So hope it's a little trip down memory lane or educational lesson, whichever the case may be. Okay, the record's run out, better get back in the mix here. We're not on Serato anymore, we can't pull loops.
feel the heat. I feel the heat. I feel the heat. I feel the heat. I want your body. I feel the heat. I feel the heat. I want your body.
I can feel another rush coming on. Come down! Original African rock, come on, come!
Classic Rat Pack in the background now.
I can feel another rush coming on.
If you're a regular listener of the Keeping the Rave Alive show, you may recognise that voice. The MC from Rat Pack, Evanson Allen. Did all the ragga influence drops for us on the show and all the old school jingles. True legend in the game.
Feeling your body all was standing in the corner, searching for my Rizla. I had some marijuana, I needed to get higher, so I went into the corner with my Rizla and my ganja. Built another strip until I totally out my head. 'Cause that pack's rocking and we're shocking. We keep the party moving. Now everybody jumping, the whistle passing blowing. Let's go into the corner with the Rizla and the ganja. Build another strip until we're totally out our heads. I can feel another rush coming on. So strong. That keeps the party moving on. I can feel another rush coming on. Feeling in my body all night long. I can feel another rush coming on. Feeling in my body all night long. Can you feel it coming on? So strong. I can feel another rush coming on.
I think it's gonna be far out.
Shout out to Subsonics in the chat. Good to see you back, Chief. Also, shouts out to KTJ99. Vinyl DJing properly. Cheers. I'm one of them. I always troll people with the real DJs play vinyl thing, but the reality of it is there's no point in learning how to do this unless you want to do it because you enjoy the hobby. I mean, everything's digital these days. If you want to learn how to play music in a club, which is what DJing is, there's literally no point in learning how to do vinyl because they don't have decks in clubs anymore. If they do, they probably don't work properly. Vinyl's expensive. No new music's been pressed on it for the last 10 years. You know, there's so many reasons why vinyl isn't relevant anymore. But as a hobbyist type thing, you know, I've got it set up here on Serato, Record Box, Tractor, all of that type of stuff. And it's just a hobby for me. And if I control people on Facebook by starting the debate between CDJs and vinyl again, then, you know, it's quite fun to come back, check an hour later and watch the internet lose its shit. It's definitely a lost art, a dying art, but, you know, it's almost like, you know, when you look at, like, video games, like, no one's saying the original Super Mario Brothers is better than the new God of War. But then you look at games like Shovel Knight, which are obviously taking influence from the early ones. So it's almost like it's created its own niche in the market. It's definitely, retro gaming isn't better than new gaming as such. I mean, it doesn't have loot boxes, that's better. I think we can all agree on that. But progress is progress. But old school will also always have its own niche. And that's what we're paying homage to tonight. This one in the background, Sons of Luke DeLuke era Far Out. Another classic, another favourite of mine, another paper round anthem. If you've got any tracks in the chat you want to hear, feel free to let me know. Obviously, we've not got as I can't even get the words out, as an expansive, is that the right word? I know it's late in the day, late in the week. Expansive library of old school tunes loaded into Record Box. Maybe we can fix that if this goes well. People want to hear more old school. Just getting the big hits at the moment, nothing too deep, no too deeper cuts. if you let me know if anything you want to hear, and I've got it, of course we can play it. Let's get back into the mix. It's Kutski, Twitch Sessions.
DJ Kutski in the mix.
vocals sound familiar? Especially if into hardstyle. I remember Audio Freak did this one a while back, didn't he? Interesting fact, Nikki Mack that did the vocal on this, she went on to do the vocals on loads of UK hardcore stuff. She was only 16 at the time when she recorded this, back in 92. True talent. Another anthem for you in the background now. This one, produced by Gordon Edge. Went on to do a lot of techno in his career, big name in that scene, but this was an early hardcore release of his. This is Edge 1, Compounded. Proper hardcore vibes in the mix right about now. It's Kutski in the mix with the old school flavours on Twitch. Manix in the background now, Head in the Clouds. Timeless rave anthem. Taking things a little bit more underground on this one. Chrome and Time. This sound is for the underground. Chrome and Time, of course, coming from the hardcore scene when this was classed as hardcore. Went on to do some great drum and bass stuff as well. Jungle drum and bass. When the scene kind of fragmented. From Rave, there was the happier piano stuff with the vocals. There was the darker, more moody stuff with the bass lines, which then fractioned apart to give us that early happy hardcore scene and the early drum and bass and jungle scene.
Injected with a poison.
And I know you're going to love this one. Praga Khan and Jade, Injected with the Poison. It's Kutski in the mix.
Poison. Injected with a poison.
Moving on in the mix now, this one of the most important tracks in the history of happy hardcore. You all know SL2 from Monoraga Tip fame. Of course, DJ Slipmatt went on from SL2 to be one of the pioneers of happy hardcore. This was one of his first releases, SMD1. As I mentioned earlier about the fragmentation between drum and bass and happy hardcore that came out of the UK rave scene. This, for me, by definition, could quite possibly be the first ever happy hardcore track. A solid 4/4 kick drum, happy vibes all the way through it, fast tempo. True legendary series of bootleg cut-up mashup records, the SMD ones. Start of an era. I was deep in the mix there. Just took a quick second to have a look at the chat. What's going on? Did I miss something? Everyone's talking about chilies at the moment. Okay, we're going to go in for one more after this classic. If you don't know what this one is already, trust me, you're going to have a light bulb moment in about 1 minute's time. We're going to have a quick dig through now and find a classic hardcore anthem to finish with from the early 90s vibes. If you've got anything you want to suggest, get it in quickly now. Maybe we can dedicate the last track to you, the Chili crew in the chat. I used to go hardcore on Chili's and stuff like that, but in my old age I just can't handle it, especially with a travel schedule. It's one thing having the ring of fire the next day at home, it's another when you're on an aeroplane and you're stuck up there for another 10 hours. Okay, I'm going to bail out of here, go and get some food and decompress from another busy day in the studio. Stuff to shout before I get out of here. Again, if you like listening to these shows and you want to listen back to everything, it's on iTunes. If you search Hard Boiled Radio on the podcast app on Apple. If you're not on iTunes or Apple, then you can listen to the show's audio alone on Mixcloud, mixcloud.com/Kutski, Kutski. If you want to rewatch the shows, you can always head over to youtube.com/hardboiledradio. Or, if you just search, you're going to be able to find it. It's pretty easy. Like I said, I'm going to get more organised where it'll all be together in one place when I get a chance. But at the moment, just having fun streaming. Hopefully this should be enough live streaming now that allows me to apply for Twitch partnership, because the numbers in the chat, the number of viewers that I'm getting, my subscribers, is all good. So we just needed to get enough hours up there, and hopefully this show should have pushed it over. So I hope you enjoyed something a little bit different. tonight, some old school beats, you know, kind of it's all about the future, but you never know where you're going until you know where you've come from. So it's cool to have a little retrospective back every now and again and kind of, you know, have a little look back into time at what we've achieved within the rave scene. So I said I was going to finish the show with one absolute classic, and then I thought, it seems as it's old school, it's a bit pony if I just dig something out of my iTunes library and play it on Serato or whatever. So I wanted to go through and play a proper old school classic on vinyl. So we're going to finish the show tonight with the legendary Hixie and Sharky, Toy Town. As we've been crossing over to that early happy hardcore sound from the rave scene, this an early happy hardcore classic in the UK, of course. I'm going to be playing in London this weekend on Saturday night for I Love Hard Beats. Sharky's going to be MCing, and I'm super, super happy about that because I love Sharky. Huge fan, a good friend back in the day since he retired. Not seen him for many, many years now, so I'm well looking forward to catching up with him. And what an absolute classic to finish. Thanks for joining me again in the chat. I'll catch you, I'll try and be on next week, maybe Tuesday night. I'll catch you then.